What is up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another Uno night. I'm, well, one of the three hosts, normal hosts. I'm Kenny, editor-in-chief of NineFrontGaming.com, freelance writer, illustrator, all that great stuff. With me is Jamie, aka UFG Blaze, who not only does streams, he also writes for UFG from time to time. We also have Channing, Simply Simplistic, who does streaming on Twitch. Definitely go check him out. And we have a guest tonight, Matt. You see him as Timbo. Say what's up, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty
I,
good.
um, my name's Matt. Go on Twitter and a lot of other social media and gaming is LostWolf128. Gonna be working on trying to get Twitch and YouTube setting up sometime soon as well.
That's right. And you were doing I don't know if it was you were doing it before or you were thinking about doing it, but you were doing a videos on building PCs, like showing people how to build PCs.
Yeah, a lot of the hardware, the tech side of things with that. Um, just kind of, just different sort of things. I've been into computers since or probably since you guys weren't even born.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. That's really cool.
So stepping back a sec, just so everybody, if you're new to the show, basically this is where we kind of get together as creators and we kind of just talk over a nice game of Uno, just kind of chill and whatnot. And so that's what we're going to be doing. Although I would assume that the conversation won't be super chill considering what's been going on this week. If you've been living under a rock, I can understand not understanding what we'll be talking about. But for everyone else who's been living above, ground level, um, yeah, it's been kind of rough. It's last 2 weeks have been kind of rough. Actually, 2020 has been rough. Period. Like I, from the killer hornets to Corona to freaking
Beyond
man.
rough.
for
Beyond
police
rough.
brutality. Like it's nuts right now.
No. Somebody, wherever you took that treasure from that temple, put it back.
Yes.
Facts.
Big facts right there.
Goodness.
We're not even halfway done with the year yet.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
You know what's nuts is this is typically E3
mean-
time. Like this was when we would be listening and watching stuff or hearing about
Oh,
new
yeah.
games. It's actually E3 time,
Super chill. Yeah.
and it's so
I mean,
weird.
everything's been pushed back. You know what I mean? So it's like,
It's just weird not to hear any of that stuff
Yeah.
like and not just in lieu of because the coronavirus, obviously they're not going to have E3, but also with the whole police brutality thing and whatnot and just people protesting, everything got pushed back.
yeah.
And that's not to say what's most important, because I honestly don't care. I just think it's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt got it.
That was really fast. I mean, you guys even want to put up a fight with that?
Oh god.
Oh.
So
You're gonna get hit with those draw fours. Stacking is on.
so
Tell me, man.
beyond, I mean, there wasn't, like I said, there's not a ton of news. One thing I want to address, and for everyone who's listening who, I guess we're expecting me to kind of go crazy a little bit because of what's been going on. I kind of did that
You were-
already. I did
You were
that on
discretion advised.
Well, no, I did that. I did that on the Gamecast, and
Okay.
me and Tess talked, and we vented a little bit.
Mhm.
It was not. It's adult language mostly, and
Mhm.
we kind of just addressed what was going on and how we felt about different things. One of the things I can bring up here is the idea of support. There's a lot of companies and whatnot that are looking to support Black voices and stuff like that, and on the one hand, it's like, oh, this is great. We actually are getting recognized for certain things. On the other hand, it's twofold. One is that some of them are faking. They're just
Yeah,
putting these
Yeah.
they're just putting
Yep.
this out there so people can kind of like, oh, they were on the good side of history. And then there's also people who are um, they're worried about the wrong things. They're going about things a little incorrectly, and that we have a side eye type of thing. Like I see what you're doing. Like you're not gonna get away with some of the stuff that you're doing. And so
Yeah.
it's been nuts. It's been nuts. I know that, like, for instance, Activision with Call of Duty, they have the Black Lives Matter there. Smite even had it on when you log into Smite. That's one of my favorite games. They had it there. Freaking, there's a bunch. Like, I think Epic even
It's
put
a lot of
something.
games. Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
games in it.
And so it's like, it's like, all right, I see that. But then Kotaku did an article where they tried to follow up with these companies and say, okay, so what are you doing outside of just posting this? And none of them had an answer. And it's like, huh,
Well, I don't know if you saw this, not to cut you off, but
right, right.
so everybody knows Call of Duty has had a very, I guess you could say, issue with the name engine, because I can't tell you how many times I've got, and I'm not a sensitive Sally by any means. Let me first make that clear. I'm not one
Right,
of those
right.
people that's like, oh man, I don't want to see that language. Oh, I don't want. I don't. It doesn't really bother me, but they did go on. I forget where the article is. I think I saw it on Reddit in the Activision Modern Warfare Reddit post, that they had said that they're actually going to do something to do a better job of policing that,
I saw that.
making sure I don't have, like, don't get me wrong, like, I get it, man, we live in America and everybody feels like they can do whatever it is they want to do, and the internet is probably like the one place where anonymity is so prevalent, meaning you're behind a computer screen, you really can't, get found out unless you're doing something that is, you know against the law, to where, the FBI or somebody would have to get involved. So to see Activision, you know what I mean, take that stance on that finally is good to see. Is it to say all be all is going to revolutionize anything? No, but it's a step in the right direction, because in my mind it's not all talk, and that's like a big thing for me,
But see,
especially with all of the go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, and see, that's where I'm kind of torn because I'm like, that was an easy thing that you could have done years ago. Like, what took
True. Very true.
you?
Very
It
true.
took the death and like all 50 states protesting before you did something. So that's where I'm like, I feel like some of these companies are doing the most, or I not to say the most, the minimum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was something that
Progress is
was
progress, man.
Yeah, regardless.
ah
This is my
I
thought on
know.
it. Regardless,
I know how, I guess you could say, especially being as a black male, how Uncle Thomas that sounds, but we've been talking for so long. You know what I mean? And it sucks that, yeah, it has taken what has happened to, I guess, and I still feel the same way you do. But if I'm being truly honest with you, I kind of do. I have a side eye against a lot of stuff, but for them to do that even in the bare minimum, because like you said, it's been years that how many Call of Duty games have been out?
like
Xbox
14.
360 was insane with that.
Yeah,
So like, it's still bad, but it would, I'm pretty sure it's still the same degree, but still it's like Xbox 360 was insane with the blatant, like, racism that you would see on there. You know what I mean? So for them to, like, say now in 2020, I guess, this may be like the age of the awakening, whatever we want to call it. If there is a positive thing that comes out of it, like, I'm I gotta take a dub when I can get it, because it's like, if we keep like, well, why aren't you doing this more? Or why can you do that? That I don't think that's the fact that it's even being brought up. I mean, somebody at a high enough level had to say, hey, we need to do something different.
yeah, but I
You know
feel
what I mean?
like for what ends, like we look at, and it reminds me, and it's not, this isn't as nefarious as
Mhm.
others, but when we look at the police officers who were kneeling, and then like a day later we hear about the same police station
Oh, I think
hurting,
that's bullshit.
like knocking over a white guy and cracking his
Yeah.
skull. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
but they were kneeling a day ago. So like,
Yeah.
what is it that you're doing? Like, so you're gonna change the names so people can't make racist names? All right, cool. But there's a whole
Yeah.
ton of racism outside of that. Your hiring practices and everything. None of that changes though. Like, we're putting
Well, I think you
band-aids
have to,
on like
yeah,
gaping
on like
wounds.
a wound that definitely needs to be stitched up. You know what I mean? I definitely can understand where you're coming from in that point, but those are like two. This might be a difference of opinion, and we can agree to disagree, but it's like you're talking about a video game and you're talking about like real life. I get racism is racism. It doesn't matter where it's coming from, but it's like, you're at that point, it's like, what's to say you don't want to get Activision involved in like making policy? It's like, that's kind of ridiculous to even think
Oh
of,
no,
because
it's not. No, no, no. I'm talking about in terms of hiring. Like for instance, I'll put it this way: when we were talking about, there was like the Blackout Tuesday, right?
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people in my field, like in games journalism, were like, we need to highlight black voices. And one of the things they were talking about was how a lot of us are talented, but we get skipped over because we're not a white male, or people who are in certain places, like for instance, Digital Trends was saying like, "Hey, Black Lives Matter," but then some of their own employees came out and was like, "You guys had a racist Halloween party or whatever, where people dressed up as black people or dressed up as Hispanic people with alcohol and bandanas and whatever," and it's like you have a culture of this stuff. So like
Hmm.
it's almost like a slap in the face when you come out and go, well, Black Lives Matter. It's like apparently not within your company.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
see that. I see that.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying for Activision to go, have one of their people run for mayor. I'm just saying you can't say Black Lives Matter and then do shady
stuff
stuff.
like that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you on that, 100%.
But
See,
anywho,
I think the biggest disconnect, I think, is going to be the internal policies and then the external, what are they trying to have the public perceive of the company? That's what
right.
we're encountering
Yeah,
now,
because I feel like if they wouldn't
and
have said
that's what
anything
is going to make the difference.
yeah. Because could you imagine if those companies hadn't said anything? You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Like if you would have just kept it business as usual. I think that would have been, but it's like one of those things where it's like you keep poking or prodding at something for a very long time, and then you finally get that answer that you're looking for. And sometimes it's not going to be the answer that you want or the answer that you're expecting. So it's like, I get it. It's damage control for them. If we're being completely honest, dude, like it's
Yeah.
100% damage control because them not saying anything is just as bad as them doing something, even to the smallest amount. You know what I mean? Which is why the whole like name change, like policing or whatever it is they're going to put into effect, is honestly not that big a deal, but it's something. You know what I mean?
Honestly, you just gotta kind of take what you could get because they're
I'm I'm
probably doing it for the publicity, but
I'm done with
at
taking
least
it.
it's something to a
I'm
certain
done with
degree.
that. I'm done with that. Straight up done with that. And I said it was gonna be chill, but maybe not. Um, I'm done with that because we've been doing that for forever, and the result is the same. I'm not I'm not giving you leeway anymore. It's for instance, and this is on a separate note, but like with Amazon, we stopped shopping at Amazon because of what Amazon's been doing with their workers not supplying enough protecting their workers from corona, um, not paying them enough, a whole bunch of crazy stuff that Amazon is doing, to the point where one of their head people quit and like told them that they were cowards because they fired one of the people that were protesting against them. Like it's a lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
just not shopping there anymore. I'm not. I'm
That's
not.
and that's honestly what you need to do. As a consumer, as somebody that truly wants to start seeing some type of change, you have to start speaking like that because it's good that you're talking about it, but your talking only goes but so far, which is
Right.
why we both agreed that it's like we are done talking. You know what I mean? Um, the even I don't really know. I guess going back to the whole Activision thing and just kind of like doing like the bare minimum, like it is, but it's like they're still probably trying to figure out like what they can do. You know what I mean? It's I don't want to say that this type of thinking is in its infancy because the rights movement was like less than 60 years ago. So it's like this has been something on any level that that needed to be or has to be dealt with at some point. And when you compartmentalize it to like, I guess you could say, well, we're just gonna do this because it's the right thing to do now. Black folks ain't trying to hear that. 'Cause
I,
y'all been saying that forever.
yeah, and it's not it. And this is not for me to jump on Activision. I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. This was just me as a global or like all around. I'm looking at all the companies that are saying things to this nature and being like, yeah, I don't believe you until I actually see something.
Yeah. How do
You
you
know,
feel
like,
about donations, real quick?
I think that's dope. I think that a lot of them have done that. For instance, I think it's Ichigo, that basically the way they have developers can put their games up and sell them over that platform. They have a bundle that you can buy for $5. It's like I think 700 games or something like that. But the
Yeah, I've
money
seen that.
the money goes towards is split between the NCAA and God, what is it? The bail fund for people who are protesting.
Oh, that's
And
what's up.
they've already made over $1 million. I think it's 1.5 last time I checked, but when I purchased it, it was like 1.5. And you could decide how much, right now I think it's split 50-50, but I think you could decide how it goes, like where it goes,
Mhm.
but it's if you add more money. But yeah, like there's been places where I want to applaud IGN because not only have they donated stuff individually, but they've also they actually listed what each individual is doing on Twitter. So like IGN had a thread and they were like, this particular editor has not only given however much money, they're a part of a stream that's coming up to build up more money, and this person is offering to look at people's resumes and stuff like that. Like they were doing a lot
Yeah,
of stuff, and
yeah,
so it's one of those things where like like the guy who created Reddit, he quit his company or quit. He's not on the board anymore, and he was like he told the board members, please hire someone who was black, and then he donated $1 million. Like
yeah.
and for honestly, I just want people to act in a responsible way or in a manner that makes me show like, okay, this isn't something that's just like spur of the moment, because it's hot
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
going forward, this is what I want, what we're trying to
Yeah.
do. Then I'm on board. But until then, I'm like, you're not gonna make me go buy your stuff, because I'm like, oh, you're for
You
black
blacked
people.
out you blacked out the company's like webpage or their Instagram.
And that was ass. Like that was complete ass.
Yeah.
Like that whole movement was like, you guys,
So glad you said that because
because
I thought the exact same thing.
not only did it
If
not
I'm being completely honest with you, I felt the exact same way about that.
It can't be for one day. It has to be meaningful
Yes.
change for the future.
Yes.
Well, not only
Yes.
that, you guys like they blocked it out, didn't say anything relative, and then at the same time they were using Black Lives Matter, the hash code, but people were using that on the ground to kind of relay information. Now it's getting like soaked up by all
Yeah, I'd
these
heard
black.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like come on, bro. Like it's one of those, or
That in itself was very opera. That's what you mean by, in case anybody
yeah, it's
not
like
understand
oh
the correlation. Like that's what he means by when it's saying like you're just doing it for the sake of just doing it.
yeah, and then like the Democrats all wearing was it
Oh
kente
God,
cloth?
DeConte's today.
I was like,
Oh man,
fam, you look real
that was
goofy.
painful.
You like read a book on some of this stuff. Like you're
So
not.
hold on. All right. We about to get into like a I don't want to say it's not a very pretty interesting topic, but it's like, how do you feel about the people that then try to justify that type of behavior? Because me personally, like my political beliefs don't necessarily along the same lines of like blue no matter who or Republican. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I feel like Republicans are very good at manipulating African Americans into thinking that they have their best interests in heart, whereas they are just
You mean Democrats?
going about Democrats going about the motions. They're just doing whatever it is they have to do to, I guess you could say, appease us enough to where we're like, all right, we can just keep doing what we're doing as long as they're not catching on. Whereas
Yeah.
the Republicans are more or less like, we gonna do this to your face. It's like direct.
Yeah, I forgot what comedian was who said like, if Republicans will like pee on you and say it's raining or something like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
or Democrats will do that, and then Republicans will be like, nah, it's just pee. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it's a crazy way to look at it, but it's like I want to hear your take on that.
So I'm not about any inaction. I'm not about wasting time. I'm not about any of those things. Like I've like doing a lot in Virginia for whoever, whether it's black people, poor people, my community. Like is I've done that. The same thing with donating, and this is not like to big me up or anything. It's just the
Yeah,
idea
yeah.
that like I'm doing what I can, and you have like the means, you have the platform, you have the money, and you do the bare minimum of that. Blacking out your thing or
Your
whatever.
Instagram or your Facebook doesn't
Right, for like a day.
constitute-
Or like
doesn't do anything.
or a major company was like, we're not gonna post anything or basically work.
It's like
For
a
this
day of
day.
solidarity.
So you get a day off? Is that what you're saying? Like that's all? That's what we're doing? Like so you got an extra long weekend is what you're saying. Like you okay, all right, that's whatever. Like whereas there's like people in high positions who are actually marching with people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of and let me say this. I'm not trying to disparage anyone who wants to help but doesn't know how. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, though, if something were happening to you, right? Let's say your house was flooded and I came up and I was like, I had a boat and everything. I had paddles, I had life jackets, like it's like crazy. It's flood water everywhere. And I roll up to your house and I'm like, yo, you look like you need some help. And I go, here is a oar. Let me just toss this to you, right? But
Okay.
you don't have, I don't let you in the boat.
And you have more than enough like adequate
Yep.
assets to
And I
allow
have
me
life
to be in the
jackets. I
boat.
have everything. I have all that
Yeah.
stuff in the boat. I have clean food and water, clean clothing, and I just row away. I just row away, and you know what I'm
Leave
saying?
you to
Like,
your own devices.
yeah, like you know what I'm saying. And I just gave you an oar though, so you're trying to swim or whatever with this oar, and I have all this stuff, and like that's the bare minimum you could do. Not even that. They don't even give you that. They just come and look in your direction and be like, "That's messed up. Do you see what's happening to these people? You see how they're
Yeah.
how they're
That's
drowning right
why
here? We
this
should
this
do
is
something." And
why
then
like
paddle away.
this is why like I am all for protesting. Definitely. I've done my fair share in RVA, but if you aren't being active into paying attention to who you're voting into office, who's representing you, I'm not going to say you're not equally as guilty in my mind. You're just ignorant because you're not doing what you're not doing your due diligence. You're doing like how you had said earlier. You're doing it like a hot take. It's like this is what's hot right now, and I'm fired up. But it's like come November or come anytime a council member, a sheriff, a mayor, or anybody that needs to be put in office, because I feel like a lot of people don't. I don't want to say a lot of people don't understand, but it's like they probably do. They just don't care. You know what I mean? Because it is work. You have to be able to put that work in on all levels to be able to get that change started. Because if you're just voting in whoever it is you feel it needs to be voted in, you can't then be sitting back and look at the screen, TV screen or a news article later and be like, I didn't know that they were doing this. And this person has a history of being like this.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's there's so many levels, and that's why I say I don't want to disparage anyone. If you're donating
Yeah.
money, if you're, what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
there's so many things you could
Yeah.
do, and it's none of my business. How you handle that is none of my business. When you're a company though, and you make it like public. Okay, now I'm scrutinizing. Like that's just
And I feel like if you voice your opinion to where you're interacting with varied perspectives, i.e., how like me and you were talking, Tebow, Blaze, we're all talking. It's like if you make your, I guess you could say, account or perspective known, you have to be able to take the criticism that comes with that.
right.
You know what I mean? You can't then, jump ship or say, well, I don't have to do this or blah, blah, blah. It's like, then you should have kept it to yourself. Be quiet. Don't insert without taking the constructive criticism or the feedback, even if it does not align with what it is that you are seeking out to do. You know what I mean? And that's just not on like a race level. That's on like any level.
I mean,
It's like, don't
because
say nothing. If you ain't got nothing to say, be quiet.
it's not even because it's not affecting you directly.
Yeah.
So you don't have this. You don't have the experience to speak on certain things. Like you just don't. So then take the advice. Like
That's hard for people to do. If I'm being honest, it's hard for people to do that.
because they
Because
make it
everybody
about
feel,
them. They make it about
yeah,
them. Like the people who were, and I'll move on. But like the people who were like on social media and they got it wrong. They did something really bad, and then people were like, "Hey, that's not it," and they got upset and started crying. I'm like, I don't care about someone died, fam. I don't care about you crying because you got something wrong. Fix your
yeah,
face and get it together. Like
yeah.
that's just it. Like I don't. What are we 5? Stop it. Anyways, uh, so yeah, outside of that, there's like I said, there's several different companies. One thing that's interesting about this whole thing is how companies are reacting on top of Corona, right? Because it's hard to get certain things done nowadays, anyways, and so I feel like uh,
Oh,
nice.
nice.
I
Nice,
feel like
nice.
it's hard to kind of like I don't know, like for instance, a lot of us worked at GameStop here at one
Oh
point,
yeah. Oh man, I
Oh
think
yeah,
we
and
all
bring it
yeah,
up.
I
really.
think so.
That's so crazy.
I applied twice, and yeah, apparently the manager wasn't actually looking at the applications. He just threw them in the trash because one of the employees told me he did that.
Look,
I've
what
definitely worked at GameStop, 100%.
one thing I will say is the GameStop isn't isn't the sum of its parts. Like the people there are some good people at GameStop. There are good managers at GameStop. There's GameStop itself actually does some good gaming wise. However, a lot of people at the top are horrible people, and that bleeds into other things, and that's why
Mhm.
GameStop has the reputation that it has.
Yeah.
No matter what good it does, it always comes out
It's
like
like EA.
horrible. Yeah, facts. And so, when Corona kind of started, it was the idea like they were like, this is we are essential and you have to work, and people were like, what? Like, are you
Yeah.
serious? And
Yeah.
they eventually kind of bounced back or like pushed back and was like, you know
Yeah.
what? Actually, no. I think it was like a government mandate was like you need to close it down, and they were like no. And then eventually,
Yeah, they fought it for a while.
yeah, eventually
Yeah.
they were like, you know what? We'll do. Oh God.
They were like, we'll do curbside. We'll do the contactless
Right.
stuff, you know?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
How do you guys feel about that? Because me, I'm already like was like, huh. But then, and also knowing that how they were struggling to find a
Yeah,
buyer,
yeah,
and
they were struggling before the Corona stuff hit. So I know
exactly.
GameStop
They've
is in
been
a very
mismanaged for
I
a
actually
while.
heard a story recently about GameStop from a friend.
Mhm.
So they're opened up in a lot of places now, and he went to trade in a bunch of games for cash. And you know how they're iffy about that. They want to give you store credit.
Oh yeah,
Right.
So what they told him when he traded into games is, "Oh, we're not trading in for cash right now because of the coronavirus and everything that's happening." And he said, "But you just took my games. I could have touched
no,
the games and have coronavirus, but you still took my like you can't give me the money? But if your problem was that, why'd you take my games?"
wow.
Well, that's not actually a problem. I actually agree there, because
Wait,
I agree
wait,
there.
what?
Because
They could take your games but not give you cash?
exactly. Are you gonna sterilize the cash?
No,
You can
he's not
sterilize a
wrong.
game.
He's not wrong.
You can
Fair
sterilize a
enough.
game. You cannot sterilize cash. And we think about how cash moves through hands. You get it from your bank, you go buy something, then that person buys something, then that person buys something. So, like, my game could come from me and it just be me, whereas cash could have been around 100 people before it finally got to GameStop. And it's not just GameStop. There's a lot of places that aren't taking cash right now. So I'm not even upset about that. What I would be upset about is that you didn't make that known to me beforehand, and now you want to give me back my stuff.
Yeah,
Like that, I would have an issue with. But yeah, like that's not.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. That is smart.
Yeah, that's not gonna be. You know what I mean? Like you can't really do that. So um, I think it's they're in a rough position. I don't want to like jump on their necks in that sense, but because like I said, they had even with I don't know if you guys have been getting the emails from them or whatever, but they'll be like, we have a sale going on. We have a sale. They've been having a sale since 2020 started. Because they need people to buy stuff.
Hey,
Mhm.
uh,
Kenny, can I ask you about those emails?
yeah,
Have you been noticing getting emails from other companies, but then saying that it's from GameStop also?
I haven't
Have
gotten
you
that.
noticed that?
I haven't gotten that.
Hmm.
Like, GameStop is selling your email to another company.
Oh
Oh wow.
wow.
See
Yeah,
that I haven't seen that yet, but that's crazy.
yeah. So
That's
they're pulling every trick to try and get some cash, so you know they're hurting.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's because I've seen.
They were hurting before everything started. They were
So they
already
got
on
like
the.
the Thank Geek, because they bought them or whatever, and so they've been trying to sell a lot of that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like there were discounts on that stuff. There was discounts on headphones and all this other things. And I was like, man, like there's something going on. Like, and outside of the norm because I've never seen GameStop have a sale this long.
That is true. Their sales usually only last like a what, 2-3 days or a week at max,
Yeah, like a
and that's even
weekend
pushing it.
sale
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
with the Game Informer. And it was that whole fiasco with Game Informer. Um,
Mm.
so like it's weird to be in that position, but I think they also said something about Black Lives Matter as well, and I'm just like, what are you're trying to cling on to everything like at this point. I don't know how I feel about it.
I mean, they don't want to go. They don't want to end up like Electronic Boutique. They don't want to end up like Funko Land. It's like, and they bought all of those They bought those places out. You know what I mean?
They
Yeah,
bought their only competition when their competition is what was making them do well.
Yeah. They could
Yeah.
have been like, they could have just had those companies as like subsidiaries and been like, GameStop could have been like the main one, and then they could have still had the Funko Lands and the EBs and all of that stuff. And there's like another one I'm forgetting. I know
Because I
there's another.
worked at all of those.
Yeah, and I know me and Kenny.
I
I
worked
mean,
at
Blaze, you might remember
Electronics
these too.
Boutique first.
Yeah,
Then
I
I
definitely
left
remember all
them
of
to
those.
go to work at Funko Land. I
Yeah,
got the letter for when Electronics Boutique was gonna buy Funko Land, and then GameStop
boy.
bought Funko Land out underneath Electronics
Jesus,
Boutique.
man.
So I went through all of it.
Yeah,
But
like
I
that's
mean,
crazy.
Funko Land was great. You got the best trading values
Oh
for
God.
credit or cash or whatever you wanted from them. They were great. But then, once they got absorbed by GameStop, it was like it was GameStop's way, and everything, just went down the hole with it.
Man, I remember I started working at GameStop in college, and I remember it being better than what it is. I got I got
It
to
was.
it I like I was getting paid, and here's the thing, I was getting paid more than like the average person because I came from a job that was making more, and because I was in college, I couldn't do certain things, so I was like, you know what, I can do this on the weekends, and so
Yeah.
they started me at a higher pay. And when we got there, I could play video games with customers. That's how I got my reserves. They would have the demo booth or whatever, and we, like, for instance, like the what is it, Fight for New York was coming out. We had the demos for that.
Mhm.
I went over there and played with a couple people, and then they reserved it. I could do so much like on my
Yeah.
own, and people would come in and be like, "Hey, I want to buy from this guy." I'm like, we don't make commission. But he's like,
Yeah.
because you just talk about games, you're very knowledgeable, and you're cool. They didn't push certain things. Like, obviously you had to get some reserves, but
Yeah.
they weren't pushing it like they were like when I was getting ready to leave.
Yeah, it got insane
I
with
couldn't
the
play
whole
video
like.
games anymore. I could only
Yeah.
talk to customers for like a limited amount of time. I was like, yo,
Mhm.
and
And you better get like 20 freaking Game Informer subscriptions
I
or GameStop cards sent out.
it was nuts. And like and granted, I never really had a problem on that end because I just like video games and talking about it so much. I would get in trouble because I talked too long. But
Yeah.
all those people would end up buying something. So I was like,
Yeah.
just shut the hell up and let
You're
me do my
building a
thing.
strong rapport. Exactly. And
Exactly.
I was like, I hate when big corporations don't take that into account, that they need people on the front lines that are very skilled at doing that. Because if you do not do that, you have a disconnect with your consumer base.
But
That is
also,
100% true.
at that point, also, though, you got to remember there was no Amazon then, and mail order, like, no one did that, So it was pretty much brick and mortar was the only business choice that you had. So it was just that face-to-face communication. You were good with your customers, they were always coming back. And most of them, that's all they wanted. They just wanted to be treated right,
Yeah.
Exactly. And then
Don't sell me the snake oil type stuff.
yeah, and
Yeah, that was it.
GameStop shot themselves in the foot because they stopped letting us be game advisors. We
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
be salesmen all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and it's like
Pretty much yeah.
the video games sell themselves. If you're only coming in here because you want to buy a video game, this is not a place to. This isn't a clothing store where you can kind of look and
Yeah.
be like, you know what, I'm gonna come back and no. Usually
Let me
people,
get 10 hours in this game in the store and then I'll decide if I want to get it or
yeah,
not.
like it's not.
You know what
That's
I
not how it.
mean?
You're not gonna try a game on. Like this is not.
Yeah.
You're pretty much like, I'm interested in something. At the very least, finding out when a game comes out. I talk to you, you come back, you get the game. Like, it's easy in that sense if people like the games. But when it got to the point where it was like super corporate and it's like, oh, you're not hitting these numbers, then people started
Yeah, the bottom
cheating,
line started, yeah.
and it's like because people were afraid to lose their job, and it was like, dude,
Yeah.
it's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's
And it was
not.
basically, you'd go 2 weeks, you don't hit your numbers, you were out of there.
Oh God, yeah.
As a manager, it was that serious for me to enforce to my whole staff.
See, I'm
And
glad I was gone.
how many times did you have to sit there and tell them it's like it has nothing to do with you? This is like from the top down. Like if I don't do this, I'm jeopardizing my livelihood at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I-
like everybody knows that you have to separate, personal business and personal. Like everybody gets that. Business is just business at the end of the day. But it's like that shit sucks because what happens if you have like a Kenny working for you that's super knowledgeable about games, everybody loves him, but he just doesn't have he's doing okay with his numbers. His numbers aren't where they should be, but based off of what the top has said, you have to let him go. That is such bullshit.
And there was ways to like kind of go around that. Like as a manager, there would be ways like for me personally, I'd be like, okay, well, I know if it's the end of the week, he's not hitting his number, he needs like 1 or 2 reserves. I'm just gonna reserve something from him.
Yeah.
There's ways to pad the system a little bit, but it was like, I mean, like you had people that, you could tell after a week or two, yeah, there was no hope for some people, but then it was like there was so many people that would try their hardest. And I mean, I used to work at South Park Mall. You couldn't sell anything in South Park Mall,
Yeah, facts.
Unless it was like what, 2K or Madden.
Dude, you know how many Italian jewelry stores were in South Park Mall?
Oh, especially
There-
towards like the end.
oh,
The end of South Park Mall's like relevancy. It was everywhere. Every store was pretty much that.
man, that's
It was
crazy.
nuts. It was nuts,
dude.
man. And
Yeah.
like, and my managers were cool. Like I was getting to the point where like I was getting out of GameStop. I had gotten hired by T-Mobile, and so I didn't have to. It didn't come down to that. But my managers are really cool. What I didn't like was the district managers being such jerks, to where, like the thing that you said about padding their scores a little bit, like because you reserved the game, people have gotten fired for that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, you're not really, and even if you, because like I was crazy. It's like being gamers, we bought from the store. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like we were doing it just because. No, I reserved a game that I actually want. I just gave it to
Yeah.
him because he's kind of low on the totem pole. But I'm not trying to cheat. I'm not gonna flip this to another game. No, I'm gonna buy it. But
Yeah.
people still were let go, and like the way they were talked
It
to, and
and the thing is that was depending on the situation.
yeah,
Because that was all about favoritism. If the district manager or someone wanted you out, they would look at things in that total different light and could cast that shade on you like that. So that's where it was getting messed up at the end real bad.
I think if I remember the story very correctly, there was this. I was working at GameStop on the base at Fort Lee, and I had a lady come in that obviously this is when like the Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death was like running rampant, and I knew how to like pad it or fix it, so to speak. Like the only real thing you could really do was like take the whole thing apart and reapply like thermal paste, which it worked. It definitely gave you like another couple months before it just did it again. Like this was just the nature of those consoles. And I was explaining to this lady that I could, if you outside of work, obviously, because you can't solicit type of I think you can't solicit like repair services like while you're
right,
like on the clock. So my manager made like this whole big deal about how like you were actually like in the store and blah blah blah. I was like, dude, I was on my break. I was like, I wasn't even in the store when we were discussing it, but it's like, whoa, I had overheard from like another employee that you were saying that you could do all of this stuff. It turned into like to a big thing, dude. I almost lost my job for that. They just gave me like a written warning about it. It's like, just don't do that. Like, period. I was like, Jesus Christ. Because I guess that's a console for them. You know what I mean? That's a refurbished 360. That's a brand new 360 in their mind. And from a business standpoint, they're not wrong. But it's like, dude, what?
I mean,
but how many refurbished systems have you sold from GameStop have come back because they don't work?
Don't even get me started on that, man.
And then they'll fight you tooth and nail to not take it back.
Yeah.
Well, to me,
Because
I thought it was like if something went wrong, like say it blew up, and then they were like, well, I got it fixed at a GameStop. This guy did it, and then they're like, oh, you fixed it. That's GameStop. GameStop has to pay for whatever. Like I think they were. I would look at it from that point of view because my I know that we had Karens in the store before it was a thing, right? And so
oh my God.
we had some really nasty customers who would buy something and would, make up any type of thing to try to return it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, would go crazy.
ballistic. Yeah, they would lose their minds.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking like the person's like, yeah, he gonna fix it, but if he doesn't fix it, I'm gonna screw over GameStop. I'm gonna come
Yeah,
in, raise Cain, and usually the managers gave in, which I hated. Um,
yeah,
and it was you know what I'm saying? Like I can see it from that point of view, not so
yeah.
much like
Then I can tell you that definitely wasn't the case. Like she just didn't want to have to buy a whole new thing if it could be taken care of. You know what I mean?
low key. I would got some money on the side, but that's just me.
Oh, I still fixed it. What? Definitely still
Yo,
fixed
bro, just give me a hot 50 and I got you.
I definitely still fixed it. Shoot. I just didn't say nothing else after that. I was like, I'm be quiet. Look, I'm be quiet.
Yo, it's just meet me outside. Like,
I was like, look, I'm gonna go to the bathroom right quick, and I'm gonna just go to the car, put that bad boy in there. You look, you come up here tomorrow around 5:30. I had ready for you.
I'm saying, ah. But yeah, I will say I do have some fond memories of working at GameStop. It
Yeah,
mostly
man, it
the
wasn't
early
all
stuff.
bad.
Yeah,
It
mostly the
definitely wasn't
early
all bad.
stuff. But they didn't pay well enough at all, I think.
No, they
Yeah.
pretty much encouraged us to hire everyone at minimum wage. If you were lucky enough to get like a game advisor position, that was like what 20, 25 cents more than minimum wage, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
I
pretty bad.
I was hired at like 7 something. I got to like 8 something or whatever at some point.
Jesus, man.
But yeah, that was it. It's like, I was like,
Jesus,
it's
man.
too much drama to have to do this for the low pay. Like they let
Yeah,
people
like
walk all
there
over their
was no real
customers.
like incentive.
Nope.
Now, during the old
And-
days, it was totally different. Like when we had like payroll, when we had hours like during Christmas and stuff where you could enjoy the hard times. But I came back for like a year when I kind of needed to get some work after working at T-Mobile. Man, there was like no holiday hours. You were just stuck
Yeah.
working 80-hour work weeks as a store manager. It was ridiculous.
Jesus. That's insane.
Yeah. That was a whole bunch of no for me. Nope. No.
Jesus Christ.
It's
I
yeah,
mean,
man.
I remember going in on Christmas Day to set up advertising, you know? It was just
Yeah.
like ridiculous.
Yeah, Black Friday was the worst for me.
Oh yeah.
Black Friday is just the worst in any retail.
I think I was working Black Friday. I think I was sick. I had like a fever. And
And they told you you better be here.
Yeah, there's no
Either
sick,
come in
no
now or
sick
don't
days
come
when you
back.
work retail.
Yeah, pretty much.
it was horrible. And my manager was great because he let me sit in the back for a little bit. Like I could
Nice.
every so often, but people just did not care about like your well-being. They were like, you're a robot. I need you to get this thing for me. And that's
Yeah.
it. Like, but that's all retail for the most part. That's not
Yeah,
I think GameStop was different because I would see the same people and the same people were always jerks. I think that was the difference. Like if I work at like I don't know, like a J.C. Penney or something. Like, yeah, you might see the same person a few times, like, but we have returning customers because they're trading in, they're buying something, they're
Yeah.
trading something else in, and
And it's
then
like always this same narrative. It's like,
yeah,
no, you know how this works.
yeah, like why are you complaining? Like you already know what the prices are.
Yeah.
Like it's rough. Like, come on. And so like I would
Yeah.
get the same people or people that would be silly and be like like trying to advise people on a mature rated game. That was always fun because it's like they don't really care.
Yeah.
I was like,
And you know, if
yo,
you didn't do it, like when your manager was there, they'd be like, that you should have advised them that this is a rated game and their son is about to play blood. And it was like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, because it's like I was like, oh wow, I'll be like, Grand Theft Auto is,
Yeah, the
I'm like,
main game.
you can kill people, you can run over hookers, you can, all this other stuff. And then they would ask silly questions. So like, I mean, did you actually see them having sex? I'm like, does that even matter at this point? Like,
Yeah, like what are you like grasping at straws right now? Like
yeah,
what
just to get a
what do you
game.
want?
Like, does this little boy have something over you? Like, is
Jesus.
like, come on.
some of the
I always
kids
like
though would They
Go ahead.
would, like, you'd see the little, like, 7, 8-year-old brats that would, they would be very entitled, like, in the Midlothian
Oh
area.
God, yeah.
So
I
you'd
have
just
heard
be
some
like,
stuff.
"Nah, you're not getting this game today. No way."
We have to talk to your father about this first. I was like, yes.
Yeah, on that weekend when you get shared custody.
Yeah. Oh man.
Gosh, what have been your experience, James? Because you don't work in GameStop, but you work in a place that still sells games, right? Like, or sells electronics or whatever.
Yeah. PS4. We still sell PS4s like crazy, and Xbox Ones. Even though I tell them, the new one's coming out in like 3 months, right? And they just don't care. They want to buy it. So yeah. Most of the time, honestly, if I say anything about like it being more than they thought or anything like that, I instantly get called an asshole. I'm like, Jesus.
Is that
Wait, what
just
do you
because
mean?
you're in New York, or?
No, just for some reason, it's just where I work. Anybody that tries to buy games, they just get mad the second they don't like the price.
Yeah, but I mean, the universal price since like what late early 2000s has been
Yeah,
60
I
bucks.
understand that.
Shoot, before that it
Because
was 60. Like, I remember the
Yeah,
original Legend of Zelda
bro.
was like $70.
Yeah, I was about to say, you remember Mortal Kombat Trilogy came out on the N64? That game was $75. I will
yeah,
never forget that.
Kenny, I dropped.
Oh, you
Oh,
did.
you mashed on quit, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just
Oh,
dropped.
All right, let me I'll stop it. Hold up. Let me
Okay.
do
I
I
guess it's just because
do
of the
I
store I work out. It's mainly work at is mainly a like a
hold up.
camera store and like computers. And when it comes to games, it's just people that I could buy this here. Like they're not going to a GameStop or anything,
I think
and
we
they
all
just
just gotta
see it.
back out, man.
And I don't even know if anybody's.
No, we can hear you. We're in Discord.
Yeah, we can we can hear you.
Yeah, it's just because of where it is. Like they'll see it and be like, I could buy this, and they'll be like, oh wow, that's $300 for the PlayStation, and it'll be like that, and then they'll just get mad. Like it's just especially around Black Friday. Like let's say because their deals on Black Friday, like I said, they don't focus around games, so there's usually not like a bigger discount. So at Black Friday, if they can't get it for like $100 off, they're like, oh, but this place has it for this price, and
You
yeah,
guys
it's
price
just
match?
Hmm?
You guys don't price match or anything like that?
depends. Our price match policy is a little different than others. Um, like they will if they can, but it's not guaranteed. Like they
Yeah.
never say anywhere it's a guaranteed price match, and that just when it when it comes to
It,
the games, they just go crazy.
yeah.
See, I can't work with people anymore in that capacity. After leaving T-Mobile, it's just it's
It's
a
your
lot.
job hard,
It's
man. It's a
mental.
lot.
It's a mental fight every time, and
Yeah.
I was like, yo, like the I don't want to snap and like strangle someone, so let me just chill
Yeah.
and um because yeah, it was
Especially when you aren't the one that's in like direct control of like that policy, that deal. You know what I mean? Like you are just someone at that point that is just doing the job, doing their job. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of consumers, especially ones that have never worked in retail before, come in with this mindset that, and we've all, I'm pretty sure you guys have definitely talked about this before, or just in your circle of, people or friends, that the customer is always right, which is complete bullshit.
yes.
Like,
That's one thing I could say about my shop. They
I'm not saying
actually
I'm not saying you go in and you meet the customer with the same energy that they're giving you, but that concept of like them always being right is fucking
no,
ridiculous.
like what I was gonna say. What I actually like about my place is they actually defend you. Like I witnessed it, and I was like,
Yeah. Oh, and I hate when managers don't defend their employees, especially when they know their employees 100% correct. Like, don't bend over backwards because you're afraid of losing face. Like, if you lose that one customer, then you know what? All right, we lost one customer. But don't make me sit there and explain myself based off of how I was trained or how the policy is set up, and then you undermine. That is like the most diminishing thing a fucking employee can feel,
In
especially from
front of
somebody that's
someone.
in. Yeah, like don't do that. Do not do that.
And I can
The
understand,
worst
like,
thing you can do.
I can understand in certain situations, right? You tweak it so that okay, I can understand. We're gonna help this guy out this one time. He's a long time customer, whatever. But there's certain times where I'm like, yo, I didn't write this
Yeah,
policy.
but don't
Like,
make me seem I'm negligent or like ignorant to like
yeah,
what's going on. Like you got me messed up.
like I didn't
But I
write this.
think also that's how I think companies expect ways to operate, though, is like they expect that kind of the frontline workers to put up that defense and to kind of, to
Like a
stop those
buffer.
initial, yeah. And if anyone escalates beyond that point, then it's up to the management, the supervisors, then to try and to meet in the middle, to try to do something. And that,
Yeah.
it's like it's not supposed to be something where, if you are that frontline customer service rep or whatever the case may be, to feel that, you're being undermined. It should be the opposite. You're doing your job. Things are going to escalate because there are the Karens and that things like that does happen. It's just all about how it's supposed to be handled, though.
Yeah.
But it's always going to happen.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
rough.
I worked at T-Mobile for, several years too. And I mean, yeah, that was the everyday occurrence.
Were you on the were you at the call center or were you in the stores?
Yeah, I was in the call center.
Okay, so you know my horror. All right, cool. Uh, yeah,
I didn't know her. I know, I was privileged enough to work at the local number portability team for several years,
oh,
which was
nice.
great because you specifically did not talk to customers in that department.
Ooh.
I needed that. I needed
Yeah,
that.
until when T-Mobile bought us, when it was Suncom, then T-Mobile bought us, then it was working customer service, and then that was the whole,
I think
all,
we were there at the same time because I
yeah.
I came on right before they bought T-Mobile.
Mandarino was there and
Yep,
some other
yep.
people. Yeah.
This is VA stuff for people who don't know. Definitely VA stuff. Yeah, man, it's I just I liked how Suncom I was able to. I know they had issues because they gave credits way too much and it hurt them.
And
Um,
free phones.
free
like
phones and so much
candy.
stuff. But I liked with Suncom that I could just talk frankly with customers and not be rude,
Yes.
but I could
Yeah.
say, no, this is not happening, and I got backed up.
Yes.
Whereas
Yes. As
T-Mobile,
long as you did not cuss at them and did not hang up the phone, you could say whatever you wanted.
and it, cause like with T-Mobile, yeah, and like there was a point, this was like almost the final straw. I had someone call in. They were like, they're not getting service. I checked their area. They were having issues. And I was like, these are a few things I could do for you. He was like, no. Someone told me that if you change my phone number, I would get better service. I was like,
What?
that's not how that works. He
Wait, what?
Wow.
argued with me, right? He was like, you know what? I just want you to, and I was like, look, I talked to my manager. My manager was like, just change his number. Get him off the phone. And I was like, look, I'm going to change your number. But one, you're going to pay for it. Number two, you cannot get your old number back. And number three, it's not going to work still. So you're going to call back, and I'm saying this verbatim. You're going to call back, and you're going to have to get something, do something else. He's like, just change the number. So I changed the phone number. He tries the cell phone because he's on another phone. He tries his cell phone. It doesn't work. And I was like, yeah, I know. He was like, I want a refund. I was like, absolutely not. My manager came and was like, here, you take a refund. I almost quit that day. Because
Yeah.
I was on the phone with
Wow.
him an hour explaining how none of that is going to help you. Your cell phone number has nothing to do with your coverage.
Yeah.
And he, you know what I mean? He got his way. I think he just wanted a new number. But the
Yeah.
manager gave it to him, and I was like, I had to tell him, I was like, I was so close to quitting. If I didn't have responsibilities, I would have quit.
Yeah, he was like, I'd have been out.
Because, and
And that's
these people call you all sorts of names. I don't know how they
Yeah.
found out I was black, but they, all sorts.
I'm black, so I'm gonna just go in now.
Yeah,
You
like,
something like that.
It's
Dude,
crazy.
if they don't assume your skin color, they assume like where you're from, what
Yes.
your IQ is. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you have a family or not.
Oh yeah, anything,
Anything about you. Anything.
I mean, they were
See,
mad
that's
accurate though.
Oh my god.
Man, I
Oh
can't
man.
imagine doing that anymore. I would have headaches. And then it was also T-Mobile and Suncom didn't get along in the sense that they kept on a lot of Suncom people who were higher up, but they demoted them because they weren't trained T-Mobile style. And so there was like a little bit of a grudge there. So like if you're moving up in the ranks and they see that, if they don't like you, they can put in they can kind of nudge you in the wrong direction and you
Yeah.
get fired. And there was a lot of shady stuff going down.
Jesus.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm afraid to get fired, but then at the same time I have to deal with like crazy customers. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
like that's too much of a cocktail. Like there's just, someone's
I
gonna be.
actually
Yeah.
was
A cocktail
I was
for a
getting
disaster.
panic attacks when I was working there. I would wake up in the morning, knew that I had to go to work, and I would get panic attacks, and I just couldn't go into work.
I feel
It
you.
was that bad. And I mean, every day I would always seem to have a call that it would be crazy. It would last like an hour. And the messed up thing was that if you had a call that lasted into like your break, into your lunchtime,
Yep.
you were penalized.
Yep.
You know,
What?
Because you got to stay
could
on
not-
schedule.
You have to stay
Yeah.
on schedule. And so if you had an hour lunch break, guess what? That ate into your 1 hour, because you still had to be back by a certain time. So it was like you either took that 15-minute whatever hit on your lunch, or you were basically tardy 15 minutes. It was
Yeah.
just a mess. So I just couldn't deal with it. It was just too much.
Yeah,
That's
I
too
had
much,
as
man.
soon as I got the opportunity, I left. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I have to go. I have to go. And salute anybody of my friends who are listening who still work at T-Mobile. You're stronger than I am. But you can't call me all sorts of names. And then at one point, I think right before I left, I was working 13-hour shifts. Because you do it multiple and then you get days off in between and then you have more days off at the end because you work all the things up front. And so I was
Yeah.
doing that because I was it helped to have that many days off so I can look for another job.
Yeah.
That's how bad
So
it
you
got.
were doing like you doing your you know what I mean? Like you weren't just like getting off and be like, God, I'm done. You know what I mean? I can go home and relax. You were like, no, I need to get myself out of this situation because this
Facts.
is not healthy. For me.
It's not healthy for your mental space to take
isn't.
75, especially when there's a storm or there's something that like a
Out of your control, completely
Yeah.
out of your control.
and people are upset because they don't have service and it's like I feel for you but I can't do anything physically.
Yeah, I don't have a magic, like I should say, make my phone work box that I could just be like, man, all right, I'll use it this one time for you. You know what I mean? It's like
And-
a lot of, I guess you
When
say,
it was-
I don't want to say a lot of consumers think that, but just like, I don't know. They just feel like when you are denying them something that they feel like it's just like, it should just be because it is, if that makes sense.
When I was Suncom, and I started off at customer care there, the numbers of times I'd sent someone the over-the-air flash by accident, and it would disconnect the call was great. I mean, sometimes it was like even you could say deliberate.
Yeah, he's like, my
But that
fingers
was like a
slipped.
savings grace. It was just, oh yeah, oops, call ended.
My fingers slipped.
Oh my gosh. I had someone get upset with me. I called them back, but like there was the fire alarm went off while I was on a call and I was like, yo, the fire, I got to get out of the building. And he kind of got upset. I hung up with him, called him right back when we were allowed to get back in the building. And it was like I just made it up. And I was like, why would I call you back then?
Like, you've been talking to somebody totally different right now. Like,
Exactly.
What are you doing?
I called you back. Like I'm the same rep. Like why are you upset?
It ain't, no.
Wait, hold up. So you said the fire alarm went off and he didn't hear that?
He couldn't hear it. The way our mics were set up is you can't really
Probably like
hear.
noise cancellation or whatever.
Right, because
Like, it doesn't
you're in
pick the
a
ambient.
call center, and so it's like multiple cubicles in a circle, kinda, and so they would hear everybody else talking if that was the case. So he couldn't hear the fire alarm.
Oh, that's okay. That's great to me because we have noise canceling headsets too, but that fire alarm is loud.
No, yeah. It's not just,
It is. I mean, if I was right under the fire alarm, it was like at the end of the hall, and so like I could hear it, but he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's like anybody in a building would definitely know what was going on, but it's like I through a headset, it's got to go through all that filtering and all of that stuff, and like more than likely, as Kenny said, like they're working so close together anyway. You don't want to have like everybody just talking out loud about like personal information and stuff like that. So they have to implement something in place that doesn't pick things up that well. Like it picks it up well, it's just not that well.
Yeah, like there'd be music and everything playing in the background, and you wouldn't hear it.
Yeah.
Because our manager, or I forgot what they were called, but at the time would sit in like the middle so he could kind of like see everybody, and
Our
he would play
coaches.
music. Yeah, coaches. He would play music, to kind of like soothe people, uh, because it was it could get kind of ugly. Like people get really nasty over the phone, and especially because they can't see you. Kind of like the internet, they can't see you,
Yeah.
and
So they
so
can go in.
yeah. And oh my God, I remember when Obama got elected, there was a lot of angry white people calling in.
Yeah.
Whoa, what?
I know you voted for Obama. Like, I mean,
Wait, how do you even know I'm black, sir? How do you know?
like threats.
Jesus, man.
It was crazy.
He said change was coming. He used to say change my number. Oh man.
That's retail.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I salute all the people out there who are still doing it with Corona. People are crazy. I've seen the videos of them not wanting to wear masks and
Yeah.
just being total. I'm gonna play eventually. Just being total jerks about stuff. Like, I salute you, cause
It's kind of hard, man.
yeah, I couldn't
It
do it.
That's retail, food service. It's a lot harder than what people think it is.
It
You know?
is. It is. You gotta keep your temper. And then there's things that are happening personally outside of just the shopping
That
experience.
have to be. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on from there. I guess the last thing, since it's actually been an hour, we creeped up on an hour. That's happens when we talk about GameStop, I guess. Is what are you guys doing? I guess to kind of, I don't want to say get through this season, but kind of like deal. Like for me, it's been all of these different projects that I'm doing, whether it's streaming on Saturdays, the podcast, this right now. Like these things have kind of helped me a lot mentally. Uh, Aside from my writing, what about you guys? Like, what are some things you've been doing to kind of like, you know, keep your head above water? And
Me personally, I've been obviously I've kind of getting my like stream stuff situated, so there's some type of structure there, but I've just been me personally just been like educating myself on like stuff that I think we talked about this last time, is that I just want to have like a stronger understanding of things that I've always been curious about, but like never really, like, how you don't practice what you preach. Like, oh yeah, we live in an age of information, but it's like, well, then why aren't you doing what you could be doing to have some
right,
understanding of what it is that you are, curious about? So more or less when it comes to like, following more like politics and stuff like that, because I definitely am going to be getting involved. And like I said, I'm not going to be pushing a specific type of narrative. It is always going to be from a place of me trying to learn at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I'm not going to tell anybody, well, you have a fucked up viewpoint. You know what I mean? It may be fucked up in
some of
my
them
head.
do. Some of them do.
You know what I mean? I'm going to let it rock though, man. I've learned to just like I don't want to say live and let live, for lack of better words, but at the same time, it's like, I just want to understand like why it is they may think the way that they think, or say the things that they may say, from a non like judgmental like standpoint. So the more I feel like I understand on that regard, it makes it easier to have those type of conversations where it's like it's hard to hear tough stuff because you don't want your emotions to filter out to where it's only that. You want to be able to intelligently like convey your point or convey your I guess you could say dislike or distrust or whatever it is they're saying without like having to attack. That's what I mean. Like taking the boxing gloves off, so to speak, to where you're not always on the defensive. But that's what I've been doing.
Yep. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I
and
know.
and
It'll be worthwhile. It'll be worthwhile.
I say that not as someone who's like that's not worthy of anything. I don't have the time anymore
I
to.
feel you.
I don't like. It's different if someone, like say Matt, if he came to me and was like, what does this mean?
Mhm.
In terms of like black people or what's going on or whatever. I have no problem with that. It's the idea that I have to fight through all of this noise to kind of get you to listen. That I'm not
Yeah.
doing. Like if you're willfully ignorant in the sense that that's you want to be, you don't want to hear what I have to say. Because if honestly, if you don't know what Black Lives Matter means right now, there's no helping you.
Yeah.
So many people have
Yeah.
explained it in so many different types of ways. We have pictures and
Hmm.
metaphors and similes of how people are trying to explain this, and people still aren't getting it. It's like you don't want to. And I'm not talking
Hmm.
about young people, because they don't seem
Oh
to
no,
be the
you're right.
problem.
You're right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
so, in that sense, I have no time. But if anybody
Yeah.
has a
Yeah.
question or like you're Republican, I'm Democrat, or I'm not, I'm neither. But if I was Democrat, like yeah, we could talk. But
Yeah.
I'm
I think
limiting it.
that's the outlook I have. I'm not saying that I want to go around and just like, you know what I mean? Because it does kind of sound like that. But you're right. Like, I'm not going to entertain like woeful ignorance. You know what I mean? If it's going to be an intelligent conversation where I mean, if we agree to disagree at the end, despite everything that has been talked about, then so be it. You know what I mean? You're entitled to your opinion. But as long as it's like a healthy debate, so to speak, then I don't really see any issue with that. But like you said, woefully ignorant. Let me be frank. I'm not entertaining that. That I'm not entertaining.
Facts.
But if you're coming from a place where you're kind of in the same boat, you're just trying to figure it all out, man. Look, I'm down to talk about whatever.
All right. So, Matt, what about you? What have you been doing to kind of keep your head above water?
Um, I've see with me, unfortunately, I don't know if you're aware of it, but I am actually disabled because of an injury that I had gotten from being working at retail for so long with my back,
Ooh,
and my ankle. So it's like I'm pretty much like even before all this stuff, it's like I've been stuck at home.
Oh
It's
wow.
like so it's like I used to be like, oh, I had a heated therapeutic pool that I would go to. It's like I can't do that because of the COVID stuff.
yeah,
So it's like I've had even less stuff than my normal, but I've been trying to to reach out to some friends just to try and communicate more with some other people, see how they're dealing with things, especially with everything that's just been because it's been so much craziness in such a short time
yeah.
right now. And then it seems like everyone is becoming either a YouTube or Twitch streamer. I figured I'd try my hand and jump in on that. I mean, dang, it's just it's like everyone is like losing their jobs, but it's like, oh well, let's go to
Making
Twitch
stream.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get my setup done with that. I've had issues with my PC that I've been trying to remedy out for like the past like 2 months with
Mm,
that. So once I get that straight, but I normally just try to educate myself on all sorts of various things through the internet, whether it be through YouTube videos, through the news, and just trying to stay on top of current events and things, just especially with everything going around the world. But
yeah.
I'm very opinionated otherwise.
That's good to know. That's definitely good to know that what I'm saying that you know that. Um, but yeah, I hope things are will be going well and looking up in the sense of because it can get kind of being locked down in this sense has definitely affected me mentally, and I think it's
Yeah.
affecting a lot of people. And like, cause I worked from home and I homeschool our kids from home, but I could always go out. I could always go to the
Yeah.
movies. I could always do so. Not because people are quick to say like, oh, you're an introvert and you used to be at home and all this other stuff. It's not the same. I had the
Yeah.
option, and now I
Yeah.
don't really have the option. And one of my favorite things to do is go to the movies. I can't do, and so
Yeah.
it's like
Hey,
I
No
know
Time to
that's an
Die was
issue.
supposed to come out in April. Got pushed all the way back to November. I was upset.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like it's kind of rough on everyone, and so
Yeah.
um, I'm happy that people are finding things to do, that people are able to vent or kind of do things in a healthy manner, because
Mm,
there's a lot of people that aren't taking things or doing, uh, staying healthy in that regard.
yeah.
It can be rough. Jamie, what
Yeah.
have you been doing? I know you've been doing a lot of streaming and a lot of Final Fantasy, but aside from that, what have you been doing?
I've been making sure not to, take all my time playing it. But I've been hanging out with my nephews a lot more since I actually when I get off work before all this started, um, everybody would be asleep and I would just go to my apartment. But now since I get off and I'm already here,
Right.
I have time to hang out with my nephew. I mean, my nephew been hanging out a lot more. He's been like down to the point where he asked for me. Like the other day, they went out to like there was like a fireworks show going out, and they haven't been out
That's
for a
what's
while.
up.
So my sister decided to take them out, and I found out my nephew was actually asking for me. I was like, I want to hang out with Theo, and yeah, that was like, ah. So it's like being just an uncle to being like a favorite uncle. So that
Yeah,
was cool.
So is that
yeah.
with both of the boys?
Um, I tried both of the boys, but it's like one, he's just into his own stuff and he's like always doing something, and the other one kind of like just seemed to attach more to me.
That's
So
cool.
just
That's
the
what's
other
up.
one I'll chill with. I'll be like, yo, what you doing? Oh, that's cool. That's what's up. Because he's been playing a lot of Smash, so I'll talk to him about it. He'll give me a high five, and then he'll go back to playing Smash.
He said, "I have not have time for you."
Yeah, man. It's like Evo. He's like Evo 2023. Here I come.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been doing like arts and crafts. Like my other nephew he got into like portals, so he was like drawing portal guns, cutting them out. He made a portal gun.
Oh,
That's what's up.
that's
That's
dope.
Yeah.
dope.
That's also
So I've been
something
trying
I've
to
been.
be a
Oh, go
good
ahead.
uncle. I just been trying to be a good uncle.
No, that's dope. That's also something I've been doing too. Being an illustrator, I had kind of stopped for a bit because of all the writing, but then I have more time now, so I've been taking classes to kind of get back into the spin of things. I got some more commissioned work recently. I did actually I did Jamie's Avi for Twitch. I also did illustration for a Father's Day card. Um, so it's been cool to kind of jump back into that as well. So it's not all bad. Like there's some good.
Yeah.
There's some good there. Definitely.
Definitely some silver linings.
Yes. Well, this has been an awesome Uno night. We talked about a bunch of stuff. Like I said, it was chill. We didn't really have a list of things to discuss. We just kind of wanted to talk as we go. That said, we do want to do some house cleaning things in that sense. Um, Definitely make sure you follow the site on on Twitter at U_F_G. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at KennyUFG. Um, I know you can follow Jamie at UFG Blaze on Twitter as well as uh, Twitch, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's UFG Blaze.
There you go. Everything. And Channing, you're
Everything.
simply simplistic on.
Simplistic on Twitch.
Okay,
On
okay.
Twitch, yeah. On Twitch, yeah.
So definitely check that out, and we'll definitely let you guys know when. Well, I guess you will let them know when you get a schedule going. Um,
Yeah. Definitely gonna probably like flesh that out this week. I have like
Oh
a
damn.
couple days off from work. So
Awesome. And then Matt, you're gonna be doing the YouTube thing, or do you already have like a Twitch channel or a YouTube channel?
I am still trying to get some equipment set up, but like I'll be setting it all up shortly though. But my Twitter is LostWolf128. Just I'll post anything to that though with any future channel updates and stuff for Twitch and for YouTube.
nice.
There you go. And I'm gonna put that information in the information below the video. Please subscribe and hit the
Description.
yeah, the description. I couldn't think of the word for some reason. Um, hit hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, so you can be up on all the content that we have coming out. We had another UFG plays. We played Animal Crossing, and that was fun. We got to see what a four-star island looks like, and it was amazing. Ricardo has done a great job. He also looked like Ric Flair, so it's definitely check that out. He has a whole like wrestling ring and everything in one of his
That's
rooms.
crazy.
Um, it looked great, like the old style Ric Flair with the robe and the shiny all over
What?
him. It looked dope. It looked dope.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty
Um,
dope.
so definitely go check that out. We also have the new Gamecast, and I disabled comments on this particular one because, like I said, we were venting, and this is extremely. It was our view of what's going on from a black perspective, and I could tell that there's a lot of trolling going on in that regard, and so
Mhm.
I took the comments off. But it's definitely a good episode. Definitely go check that out. Um, we also did the Saturday night stream, and we played. So previously we had beaten World War Z. We want to go ahead and finish that out, and then just recently we played. I just fell out of my head. What did we play, Jamie?
Valorant.
There you go. Play Val, and Jamie got an ace on stream. It was dope. It was dope. Definitely check that out. We had a good time there. Like I said, we stream. Uh, the Saturday night streams are every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. The podcast we record them on Thursdays. They go up Fridays. We have this Monday night Uno or Uno night, and that is every other Monday. So we're not going to be doing it next Monday, but the Monday after. Um, and the UFG plays is whenever we get a chance to play a game that might not work out on Saturdays or isn't really uh, a good fit for cooperative play with all the people or all the fellas. So we play those different games there. And other stuff. There's other things going. We have a Nintendo corner where you can watch the Pokemon stuff and Animal Crossing. So like, basically subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let us know what you like. If you want us to do more or less of any of it, let us know. Just be respectful, cause yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Uh, outside of that, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.